Hey everyone, here's what's coming up tonight on News Center Now. We've heard a lot this week about companies expanding their parental leave benefits, but now there's one main company that's making it easier for moms to return to work. That story ahead.
Also tonight, you think you know your Gen Xer, eh? Well, maybe you do, and maybe you don't. Tonight, we meet a couple of kids who found a unique way to explain to the world what it's like to be a Gen Xer. This is News Center Now.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Lindsay Mills.
And I'm Lee Nelson. You know, we've seen it all across the U.S., but not so much here. But now it could be in the ponds in Maine at a park in South Portland. It is a potentially dangerous blue-green algae.
The toxin in the algae could cause a fever, rash, or could even be deadly in some cases. News Center's Roslyn Flaherty is at Hinckley Park and joins us now live with more. Hey, Roslyn.
Lindsay and Lee, signs like these are posted all around Hinckley Park warning people of the algae. We're going to go to some video now. This is what the algae looks like. South Portland Parks and Recreation say they found it in the water a few weeks ago. They had it tested and say it could possibly produce harmful toxins to humans and dogs. They say the cause of the bloom is from the excess of pet waste left behind in the park. Now, they don't exactly know yet if it is toxic, but want people to take the proper precautions. Now, this is an off-leash park, and experts say if your dog is tempted to go in the water, to put them on the leash and to also make sure you pick up your dog's waste. Lee and Lindsay.
All right, Ross, thank you very much. You know, this week we told you about Maine's second largest private employer, Hannaford, expanding its parental leave benefits. It's the latest company to follow a national trend of providing more workplace support for brand new parents.
There's another national effort underway, meanwhile, to support working moms, and Bath Iron Works is the first to jump on board here in Maine.
She has such an easygoing personality. She smiles a lot and laughs and coos.
At 11 weeks old, Cecilia is the newest member of the Blake family.
What are you talking about me?
Mom, Megan, is getting ready to go back to work.
It's difficult. You know, we go back to work full time, but we're still providing meals full time for our babies.
Like many moms, she's prepared to pump on the go. With her first child, Emerson, who is now 3, she pumped breast milk in a conference room at work. Even though she was able to lock the door, it wasn't ideal.
I got walked in on one day. Security came up with a key and opened up the door, and that kind of made me nervous to pump from then on out.
Things will be different this time, though, when Megan returns to work in a few weeks. She works at Bath Iron Works, the first Maine company to install these pumping pods for employees. She saw the pods at the airport several years ago.
I got on Google and I was like, what is this?
They are Mamava lactation pods. The company is based in Burlington, Vermont. With the tap or swipe of a smartphone, moms can locate and lock the pods through the Mamava app. With hundreds of pods across the country, the company was the brainchild of 2 working moms, fed up with having to find makeshift spots to pump.
She smiles a lot.
For moms like Megan Blake, returning to work after having a baby can be tough, but she says there's comfort in knowing she can pump in peace.
It's great that they're supporting pumping mamas who work.
So while Bath Iron Works is the first employer to install Mamava pods, a new law taking effect in a couple of weeks is said to better protect all working moms in Maine. In June, the governor signed an act to protect pregnant workers, and we have much more about that at our website and mobile app.
All right, and you will soon be under protection.
I know, it's funny how these stories are just coming into my lap all of a sudden.
All right, thanks, Lindsay. Thanks, Keith, for providing such a beautiful day here today.
It was gorgeous.
It was nice, huh?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to keep it going for a couple of days, but not the whole long weekend. So we got 2 out of 3. It's not bad. Here's a look at the satellite. We had some frontal cloudiness that kind of fell apart as it headed downhill, so that was good news. We did have a couple of showers in the mountains, but those have dried up as well. Looking at the radar right now, there's not a whole lot going on. A couple of sprinkles that may or may not actually even be hitting the ground here in spots into Aroostook County, but everybody clearing out and will be nice overnight tonight. Temperatures in the 80s, 83 in Sanford, 84 in Portsmouth, 80 in Freiburg, upper 70s in Bangor and Millinocket, and 77 in Holton. So comfortable enough. Dew point's not overly high, so that felt pretty good. Current temp's about the same as our high temperatures, not much of a change yet. So overnight tonight we go partly cloudy to mostly clear. It's a nice night. Tomorrow is a good looking day. I played it as partly cloudy just because the European model had a couple of high and mid-level clouds around, so to call it totally sunny might not be accurate, but we'll err on the side of partly cloudy. Temperatures in the low and mid 70s tomorrow afternoon. And then clouds start coming in on Sunday afternoon, but most of Sunday is nice, only in the upper 60s. Guys, we're going to talk about Labor Day, which will have some showers, as well as Dorian, of course, which is becoming an increasing story for everyone.
All right, look forward to that, Keith. Thanks. See you in a bit. Checking headlines for this Friday. People in Florida are taking the storm warnings very seriously. Those who aren't escaping to higher ground are stocking up on supplies, or at least trying to, because supplies of some things are running low. Water and baby formula among them. People on social media are posting when they are able to find those products. President Trump has ordered federal assistance for Florida. The storm is expected to strengthen to a Category 4 hurricane when it hits the coast late Monday or early Tuesday.
Beginning Sunday, the U.S. government will begin collecting 15% tariffs on $112 billion in Chinese imports. The items under tariff range from smartwatches and TVs to shoes, diapers, sporting goods, and meat and dairy products. For the first time since President Trump launched his trade war, American households face price increases because many American companies have already said they'll pass on those prices to customers that they have to pay on the Chinese imports.
Federal health officials say more cases of a mysterious lung illness associated with vaping have been reported. The Centers for Disease Control and the Food and Drug Administration both say as of the 27th of this month, that's Tuesday, 215 possible cases have been reported in 25 states, but more cases are under investigation. Many of the patients have reported using e-cigarettes containing THC. A person in Illinois died from a severe respiratory illness last week, and officials say the victim had recently vaped.
The cigarette giant, meanwhile, Juul Labs is facing mounting scrutiny from law enforcement. The attorneys general in Illinois and the District of Columbia are investigating how the company's vaping device became so popular with underage teens. The company's rapid rise to the top of the multi-billion-dollar e-cig market has come amid accusations from parents, politicians, and public health advocates that Juul fueled a vaping craze among high schoolers with its ads and fruity flavors. Juul's top executives deny the allegations. They say they're taking unprecedented steps to combat underage use of their product. Well, your iPhone might not be as safe as you think. This big story coming up.
Yeah. And every generation has stereotypes, right? We're going to learn about a play that is looking to change the narrative about one particular generation.
Something we were just talking about over the Facebook Live during the break. Google researchers have revealed a major security flaw that allowed hackers into thousands of iPhones. These cyber spies reportedly planted malware on Apple iPhones when users visited a small group of malicious sites. Exposed data over a 2-year period may have included text messages, contacts, photos, and locations. The researchers say it's the worst security vulnerability yet to affect Apple's iPhone. Google did alert Apple about the problem earlier this year, and Apple did issue a patch to fix it. However, it's unclear exactly how many devices were hacked and who is responsible.
In its continuing effort to be all things to all people, Walmart is now getting into healthcare. They're testing a concept called Walmart Health, first at a location in Georgia. It's a clinic. It'll offer hearing tests and vision tests, counseling, plus teeth cleaning, labs, x-rays, and patients can schedule their appointments online. The clinic, which is set to open next month, is actually in a separate building next door to the Walmart there in Georgia.
Well, isn't it so frustrating when you open your refrigerator looking for something only to find that it's expired?
Yes.
Researchers from Ohio State University wanted to quantify this problem, so they surveyed 300 adults about their fridges. Although most said they expected to eat nearly all of the meat and vegetables, they actually only ate about half. They also thought they would eat most of their fruit and dairy, but in the end had to throw out 60% of it. Some of the biggest reasons given for throwing out food: well, it looked gross, maybe it smelled bad. People were also confused about dates and food labels.
My reason for allowing food to expire in my fridge is it gets stuck way in the back and you can't see it and you forget it's there.
Isn't that the worst?
It's a bummer throwing out food. Always, always.
It
Yeah.
certainly is. So you're saying there's a chance Mainers could be in line to see the Northern Lights this weekend. We have the details on that.
And Keith's whiteboard does not get blocked today. His forecast is next.
Can I have some of that?
No milk.
All right, so if you think millennials have a bad rap out there, think about the Gen Zers, okay? Those are the kids, young adults born in the late 90s, early 2000s on the heels of Gen X and Y.
Yeah, so a group in South Portland of teenagers wanted to express their frustrations in a creative way. So they wrote, produced, and acted in their own production, their own play. Here's Rob Nesbitt with more.
Weird being in the new space, seeing new set. That's fine.
It's day one of rehearsals and the cast of Gen Z's first time getting into the Portland Players Theater.
No, it's fine. You guys know it enough.
Gen Z the Musical is both the play's name and the generation that all the actors belong to.
We are Gen Z.
Why write a musical about their lives? Ask 15-year-old Nick Sutton, and he'll tell you that he wrote the play because others weren't getting it right on stage or on TV.
Teenagers were being played by like 20 and 30-year-old people, and they were often, an inaccurate depiction of, high schoolers today. So we were like, why don't we write an actual show about our generation, Generation Z?
Stupid curse, it could not get any worse.
Up until today, Gen Z was rehearsed on lawns and in living rooms. Getting the 12 cast members on stage for Tech Day wasn't easy, but they're finally here.
How could it get any worse?
17-year-old Annika Schmidt co-wrote the musical with Nick and is also the play's director. She guides the cast through scenes to prove a point about what kids are doing on their phones, tablets, and laptops.
Things like, social media is like causing all these problems, and maybe it does, but we wanted to talk about that and like how there are also good sides, and maybe like we understand more than they do how that has helped us as a generation to come together almost.
Better than them.
In the plot of Gen Z, there's a social media ban enacted at school. The cast spends time figuring out a way to show the positives of social media.
And when I take a break from it for a while, I actually start to feel kind of good.
Toby Labor-Smith plays the role of a nerdy teen obsessed with video games. It was important for him to not just do his part justice.
That's awesome about the Twitter,
but also break the stereotypes that are typically associated with Gen Z.
The whole thing was kind of confusing. I think it's interesting because the show is still very much like theatrical, right? So it tries to kind of poke fun at the stereotypes that exist in our world and like use them in a fun way, but also kind of deepen out the characters so they're more like realistic members of Gen Z. So I'd say it does a really good job.
After a few days of rehearsals and run-throughs, it was showtime. Showing what it looks like when teenagers take matters into their own hands. Write, produce, direct, and perform a musical about how they see themselves, not how others see them.
The message that, teens aren't just like lazy and apathetic, that they can actually, band together and support, what they believe in.
If this applause is any indication, I'd say the audience believes it also. In South Portland, Rob Nesbitt, News Center, Maine.
It was good to break stereotypes.
Absolutely.
Very good. Like the stereotype that all weather people are nerds. I mean, he is, but
Yeah,
not all
but there are
of them.
other people that help break down that department. So obviously our weather's pretty quiet. We do have some showers on Labor Day. We're going to spend more than normal talking about national weather today.
Okay.
You know, consultants will tell you that local people don't care about national weather, but sometimes
I feel like
they
Mainers
do.
have a lot of relatives and family who
Right.
live in Florida.
Yes, Florida especially. Although, Lee, you know I spent my whole career listening to what consultants say that I should do. So this is a big divergence for me, for
Listening,
sure.
but
All right.
acting on
We'll,
what they
we'll,
say.
we'll record this.
Yeah. Visible satellite looks pretty good. Just a few clouds that kind of broken up as they head towards the coastline. Had a couple of showers in the mountains as we thought there would be, and they went downhill and died down. So the rest of tonight looks good. We'll call it partly cloudy, but in a lot of cases it'll be mostly clear. High temperatures today actually above average in a lot of spots. The low 80s in Sanford, Portland, 84 in Portsmouth, and 79 in Bangor. So a nice, comfortable day. It wasn't hot by any stretch, but it was summery still. Hour by hour forecast, we get rid of any cloud cover. We go clear tonight in a lot of spots. Temperatures in the 50s, but maybe just right around 60 degrees along the immediate coastline. As I mentioned before, I was tempted to call tomorrow mostly sunny, but I think partly cloudy might cover it better with a few more clouds around, cumulus clouds, and then high thin ones. 72 to 75 covers most of us. And then Sunday is a nice day, but temperatures are even cooler, upper 60s there. Clouds increase by Sunday afternoon, and then there's really no way around it. It looks pretty showery during the day on Monday. A lot of it will be heaviest west, but it will be pretty much statewide. Let's have a look at Dorian, just upgraded to a Category 3 hurricane, and really good eye wall development here. Symmetry's pretty good, outflow's good, it breathes well, and there's no shear that you can perceive here on the satellite. So good means bad. It's a Cat 3 now, it's expected to be a Cat 4. This is a big shift here, guys. We talked yesterday about how I was noticing this curve that was starting to occur. Well, the European model just came in, and it's out here. It's hugging, and then it's kicking it through the Carolinas and eventually into the mid-Atlantic. So, you know, it's one model run, but I do think it's worth noting, guys, that eastward turn could be more and more likely. And I bring this up for a number of reasons. One, worst case scenario for Florida is it sits and scrapes off the coast. That's really bad. You'd rather it come inland than sit and scrape off the coast where it can still get juiced up. The other thing is, if this scenario comes into play, it's certainly not a direct hit here, but it may influence our weather more than originally thought if it comes up the eastern seaboard still as a hurricane. So we'll keep an eye on all of that stuff. Showers on Monday. Again, Labor Day doesn't look great. Clearing on Tuesday. It's a mixed week next week, although one thing that stuck out at me a little bit, and again, this is Dorian dependent, because Friday's like 62 with a chance of a tropical storm. But but if everything kind of lines up as it is now, it's going to be cool on Friday. Like the high of 60 to 62, high temperature.
Okay,
that's
right.
cool.
That is cool.
That's a good 12, 13
I
degrees below
appreciate
average.
the advanced warning.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So this is going to be interesting. I mean, history tells you it's hard to hit from the east to the middle of Florida. So we'll see it's only happened, I think, one time that I can think of off the top of my head. So
Okay.
history tells us a lot about weather sometimes.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll see if it plays it out again. Thanks, Keith. Are you one of the lucky ones who have been able to experience the Northern Lights?
Yes.
Really?
But not in the U.S. I
Okay.
had to go to Iceland to see them, but I did. This weekend, though, you might be able to catch the Aurora Borealis right here in Maine. Stargazers at the University of Alaska Fairbanks say there is a chance they could be seen here on Saturday or Sunday night. Now, the weather looks like it should help, meaning very few clouds, but what you can do to improve your own chances of seeing them the most is head north and west, away from the lights of the cities.
That's like the recent braindrops Keith had about light pollution.
Yes, yeah.
And that.
Yeah, you want to head to Rangeley or Jackman or
Yeah.
the Allagash or something like that.
Exactly.
Then it'd be great.
Very cool if your plans already take you out that
yeah.
way. Speaking of plans, are you driving somewhere this weekend on the highway? If so, good luck. The roads will be packed for Labor Day travelers. The Maine Turnpike Authority expecting more than 1 million transactions at its toll booths, and the Maine DOT is stepping up its sign game, of course, in time for the weekend. They have new signs warning people about the dangers on the road. Here's a few of them you're seeing here. Get in a safety and focus on the road. Back to school don't learn by accident, and speeding tickets make lousy souvenirs. They certainly do.
Yes, you don't want one of those. And now to one of the quickest arrests that you will ever see. All right, watch this man try and pay for a drink with a stolen credit card, okay? And there's a uniformed police officer right there behind him. So the clerk at the store, this is in southern Alberta, Canada, sees the card is flagged because the readout says it's stolen. It also says, call the police. Well, it didn't need to because he was right there. The clerk just tells the officer. He steps up, takes the card, and puts the cuffs on the guy.
Inconvenient timing.
Wow. All right, let's check in with Cindy, see what's coming up at 5:30. Hey, Cindy.
Hey, guys. Nobody wants to think about an active shooter in any Maine school, but you better bet administrators are thinking about this. Probably keeps them up at night. They have to think about a worst-case scenario, but they have come up with an alert system that may well put some parents' minds at ease, knowing that police would be informed immediately. We'll tell you how this system works. Plus, Sunday marks a new phase in the U.S.-China trade war. That is when a new round of tariffs on Chinese imports kick in, and this time you can expect to feel the impact of higher prices on things that you buy. We're going to have that and more news ahead at 5:30. Back to you.
All right, thank you very much.
We'll see you guys at 5:30. We're back with Raindrops after this.
Okay, so we did something on this 6 months ago maybe, but I've gotten a lot of questions, one from Bangor and internally Facebook, 5G and weather forecasting. Do you remember talking about this at all?
Yes.
Okay, so it's turned into this conversation around Dorian right now is how much impact will the 5G network have? To give you some background here, the debate is the fact that the 5G frequency is going to take up some of the same frequencies that weather satellites use to sense water vapor in the atmosphere. Therefore, it's going to create noise and make it harder for them to discern the water vapor. When it's put in a forecast model, with the data being off, it could throw all our weather forecasting off. And so the high-end estimate is could reduce it by 30%. I don't believe it's that big a deal, but it does have an impact, and let me show you why. Let's look at Dorian via our water vapor imagery. This is the water vapor look at Dorian. It tells us a lot of things that a satellite can't, right? So what we can see is what's the moist part of it, what's dry, and the eye obviously has a nice definition that you can see in this water vapor. But larger scale, it's even more important. You can see so much, and the models can see so much with this water vapor imagery. There's Dorian. There's a trough here, there's a cold front here, there's a bunch of dry air in between. So if that dry air gets advected into the system, for example, that will weaken it. The models will know that and do that. And so that's the concern going forward, is that it somewhat blinds one of our more important sensory satellite channels. And so now it's a question of, can we move 5G to a different wavelength to avoid this problem? But it would have impacts.
Very interesting. Crazy to see it with that definition there.
Yeah,
it's like
cool.
A perfect little hurricane
yeah,
over there.
It looks too good.
If only it just stayed right there where it was. All right. Thanks, Keith. News Center Maine at 5:30 starts right now.